Hi, I'm David Norris, and I'm serving up the perfect podcast, Pompey Platter with Russ, Daz and Haz. Play up, Pompey.
He used to be a waiter, did David Norris. Well, he's served up the perfect cocktail here.
Gera back to goal, Lang. Needs a bit of help. Goodness from Lang. What can he do? Still there, Lang. Lang! You wouldn't believe it! Cross comes into the near post. Headers into the net! Shaughnessy! Surely Pompey are heading for the championship! Portsmouth are promoted as League One champions!
Hello everyone and welcome to PompeyThe podcast. As ever, I'm joined by Haz and Daz. How are we, boys?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you very much. Good.
Yeah, looking forward to a week away from disappointing results, unless England do it as well.
Well, that could happen. You never know. This week we have a special episode, as we are also joined by someone who introduces the show each week on our outlets, and that is Mr. David Norris. Hello, David.
How are you? I'm good, thank you.
Brilliant. Good. So David, what are you up to these days at the moment?
So these days, just before last year, just before Christmas, I stopped playing football semi-professionally. Since I retired, I've been doing personal training, mainly in person, but the last year or so I've just started going online. So I'm doing the online personal training, which is going okay. I've got quite a few football fans. I've got a Pompey fan involved. Shout out to Carl. So I'm just doing that. In person, I'm mainly working with boxers, and then online, I'm working with the general public. Tends to be guys 30 to 55, just kids, family, work, and trying to get back into shape or have let themselves go a bit, and I'm helping them try and do that. So I'm enjoying it.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's good to hear, mate. It's good to hear. So before we kick things off, take us back in time. I believe kind of rumours were going around when he joined Pompey. Round about the time we played Ipswich away from home, and I don't believe you were supposed to play. Is that right, David?
That's right. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, I think it's a bit easier to talk about now, but I'd had no confirmation from Ipswich about extending the contract. I don't know if, obviously, it was going through a tough time with regarding the management, and the club was struggling. So I don't know if anyone wanted to commit longer term with not knowing what was going on with the management. So obviously, as you get closer to January, you are allowed to speak to other clubs. Other clubs were making contact. Portsmouth, Steve Cotterill being one of them. And because I'd been injured and just coming back, I actually met with Steve the day before the game at a hotel, and just had a chat. And he was just saying, listen, I'd love to bring you to the club in the summer. We had a good chat. Like, I liked him, liked what he had to say. And he was like, obviously you're not playing tomorrow. I was like, no, I'm injured. I'm only just coming back. And I turned up for the game the next day. I didn't even take my wash bag or anything. Because we hadn't done the squad, it was everyone turn up and we'll call the squad out. And I got there and I was starting, and I was like, oh God, I've just told Steve Cotterill I'm definitely not involved in this game. He's going to think I've been having him over. And I wasn't expected to, but yeah, I was chucked straight back in. I think I lasted about an hour or so, I think. But yeah, it was a little bit awkward when Steve Cotterill see me and I was starting.
So when you said about other clubs, was there any other clubs you spoke to at the time?
Yeah, there was a few at the time. I think there might have been Palace. I think there was Leicester. I had about 3 or 4. But Portsmouth once I'd spoke to Steve. Obviously Portsmouth had an up and down a couple of years, but had the reputation, with the fan base and everything. And I just had I was just attracted to it, and I liked what he had to say, and I felt like he was dead keen. That was a big thing for me. I wanted to play under someone who really wanted me, rather than someone who just thought, what, if he's available on a free, we'll take him. And he made me feel like that. So yeah, that was a big part of it.
Was there any concerns considering the club's previous financial difficulties that, or were you told that them days were over?
Yeah, I was told that them days were over, and it was almost just a bit of a starting again point. That would be the only issue really, as in the squad would be bare minimum to start with, and we'd have to build it up. But I'm also thinking, surely, well, it can't happen again. So I'm thinking that the trouble and the tough times that Pompey have had with me signing now, and everything looks like it's more secure. I'm thinking, yeah, surely it can't happen again. So yeah, I didn't really have too many worries. I knew it'd be a little bit difficult at the start. I think when I first turned up, there might have only been 5 or 6 players at training. But obviously I knew that because of this club was in a different place, we'd be able to make signings.
When you did sign and that, because obviously it wasn't very long until that international arrest warrant went out for the owner. Was it like, when was it? Obviously, you guys like thought, hold on, something's up here, or maybe like you look back on it now and think that's why that wasn't right, or that's why that wasn't right as the season was going.
Yeah, to be honest, it didn't feel like, I don't remember it being too bad or feeling like it was a build up to any issues. It was almost, it just happened. And obviously, as soon as then you hear that there's an arrest warrant out and something's not right, you then panic because you think, well, that's then going to lead to surely his accounts being frozen, etc. But up until that point, I mean, we'd started reasonably well. We'd started to build a squad. And yeah, it sort of felt like it just come out of the blue. But once it did, then we realised that, yeah, it escalated pretty quickly.
Did you hear about that directly from the club, or did you kind of hear it through other players first? And did you kind of think is someone taking the piss?
Yeah. So yeah. We heard it on the rumour mill first, and the players talking about it. And you just think, yeah, surely it's not as bad as that. It can't be as bad as that. And then obviously the club call you in, you have your meeting, and then it gets explained to you what the situation's at and how things are going to move forward. But even at that time, people are trying to be positive and put a positive spin on it. But like I say, it quickly escalated to, yeah, it looks like the club's going to be in some trouble here.
So when you kind of feel like, the club's going to be in trouble, as a player, do you kind of go back and get straight on the phone to your agent, say, you're going to need to find me some, get a contingency plan in place in case you end up having to leave quite quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't at first because I don't think it didn't feel like it was going to be that drastic. It was possibly going to be, you're not going to get your wages, and I don't know if someone else would come in or if it would get resolved or something like that. So I don't think there was initial panic that, listen, you're going to have to find somewhere else pretty quick here. Obviously, as we went on towards the end of the season, we realised that was 100% the case. But initially, I wasn't too stressed about that. I just thought, hopefully it gets worked out. Hopefully it gets resolved. Hopefully it's with him. Someone else might come in. The PFA were obviously talking about helping out the club as well. So it was just a little bit of, not sure exactly what's going to go on, but never worst case scenario early on anyway.
So you must have been in a position at some point where you thought, right, I've joined this club. Within a few months, your manager that signed me is now left for, I believe it was Norris, if I remember right.
Yeah,
they then
that's
bring
right.
in Michael Appleton, who at the time had not managed. And then I think 2 weeks later was the administration. You must have thought, what have I done?
Yeah, I mean, you are thinking, geez, what is going on here? How's this escalated so quickly from such a positive start? But I got to say, I was quite happy there. I was enjoying it. Everything around it felt good. But yeah, definitely with the amount of things going on, once Steve Cotterill leaving, like you say, he signed me, someone could come in, not fancy me. That's obviously a worry in a player's mind when something like that happens. And then, yeah, the administration was a huge blow because of it, with what happened before with Portsmouth and then with us only just sort of getting back on our feet, it felt like, right, everything's going to change now. God knows what's going to happen. So yeah, it was a blow, and I obviously I didn't think I regretted it. Kind of part of me kind of likes the adversity of being in certain situations, and as the season went on, I sort of enjoyed and thrived off a bit of us against them mentality, and we got really tight with the fans, and the players come together with the management. And so I kind of like enjoyed that part of it and thrived off it. But there was definitely a part early on where it was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell's going on here?
Did it cause any issues kind of within the dressing room between like players? Did like where like players, some players might be like yourself, like you at the beginning, you were quite calm, like some players kind of ready to throw the toys out the pram as such?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it there being. It was not. It was actually a good group. There was definitely some that would have been looking, well, if he's not going to happen here, I need to get out. But it wasn't. There wasn't like a division in the changing room. It felt like initially, it felt like everyone was coming together. I think when the players left, as they started to leave, it was a little bit that they had to leave. One, because obviously they weren't getting full pay, and the bigger hitters needed to go to help the club, rather than the players saying, "Listen, I'm out of here." It didn't really feel like that so much. It was just yeah. I think obviously the wages thing was a panic up for the players, because of we didn't know what was coming in month to month, and obviously we're well paid and compared to a lot, but a lot of players will live within their means as well. So I think it was just not knowing what was going to happen with the wages and everything, because it was like a 20%, a 5%, a 50%, and we just didn't know month to month.
Yeah, because if I don't know how true some of the stories were around the January transfer with it, because obviously we had players go out like Liam Lawrence at the league, Huser Klepp had to go. I think there was a few others.
Yeah.
How was it true? I heard that I can't remember his name. Who was sort of. Yeah, I think it was Lambert was his name, sort of would come on the training pitch, sort of say to players, we need you to go now. I've heard that story. Did they try and force you out, anyone out? Was it everyone told you need to leave, we need to get as much money as we can, or was it just a certain few that had to go?
Yeah, not really, no. I mean, that kind of conversation did happen towards the end. That was definitely a conversation where we were pretty much told, listen, you're all going to have to go. But not at that stage. I think it was a matter of trying to free up some of the bigger hitters, some of the money to free it up for the club. So it wasn't so much as in you all have to go, because there would have been no point getting rid of some of the players who were on the lower end of the money. It wouldn't have made that much difference. But I think it was, we're going to have to try and get rid of some of the guys on the bigger money to try and free up some money to make the whole situation a little less painful. So, yeah, I think that was what it was more to. I don't remember anyone coming to the training ground and saying you all have to go. I remember that type of conversation happening towards the end, though.
What was Tal Ben-Aim like? Because from the outside, I don't know if you remember, probably a lot of Pompey fans, he was sort of scapegoated. He was one of the big hitters, and he kind of refused to go, which, you could argue, I'm owed this money, why shouldn't I get it? But when you were seeing the likes of yourself sort of, ripping up contracts, taking massive deductions, was he any trouble around the club, or was he professional at the club, but just, was adamant he was getting his money? Like, how did you take him?
Yeah, so pretty much what you say. He was actually a good lad, because I wasn't sure about him coming in. Sometimes I wasn't sure about his attitude, but I actually ended up getting on pretty well with him, and I didn't mind as long as he come on the pitch and give his all and didn't, toss it off. Then it would always be all right with me. And overall, I felt like that's what he did when he did play. He was fine. He just had that stance when it come to this, as in, I signed the contract, that's my money, I want it, or as much as I possibly could, where we were a little bit more, or a few of us were like, well, listen, the club's going to go under and we're not going to get anything. So we're going to have to do something, or we're going to have to give something, or we're going to have to agree something, where he was a little bit more, I don't care. Like that's my I've earned that money. I signed for that money. My contract's that money. I want it much of it as I can. So kind of part of me was a little bit, come on, you've done well at the game anyway. Just help us out. But I couldn't really fault him, on the training ground, in the changing room, or on the pitch. He and that was probably where I would have judged him most. If I thought as a teammate he was letting us down because of that attitude, then I wouldn't have liked him, and I would have said. But he was actually okay. He was just, like you say, taking his stances. That's my money. I want it as much as I can.
I wanted to just quickly jump back, if you don't mind, David. Go back to when the managers change and that new manager comes in. Did that happen to you at all anywhere else, where kind of a manager brings you in and then it quickly changes? But do you kind of like have to kiss ass a bit to try and keep yourself in and make sure you're going to get a chance, or do you kind of just let your talking do the work on the training pitch?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a bit of a manager pleaser anyway. Without being too much of a kiss ass, I would always do whatever the manager said and to the best. And to be fair, when it's happened to me before, I've always been, obviously the few years at Plymouth, I was always doing okay. So I was one of the better players when that happened. So it was a bit easier for me to continue being that person. I think a lot of the managers like me. I think probably through my career, there's probably only been a couple of managers that haven't really fancied me. So I've been very lucky that way. There is always the worry that someone comes in and doesn't fancy it. I had it a little bit at Plymouth when Pulis come in, and they had the reputation for just bringing in 6-footers and bullying teams. And obviously I'm on the slightly shorter side. So I thought that, but I ended up being then the only one really under 6 foot who did play for him, and he seemed to take to me. So yeah, it's always a worry when a manager comes in that he might not fancy you. And it's especially because if the manager's brought you in, you think that's it, you've got your relationship, you're happy, you're settled, and it's a bit disruptive and it can be a little bit worrying. But luckily throughout my career, I have been lucky that way, and that most managers have come in and taken to me. And I think with this one, it was a little bit different because it was a bit, obviously, it hadn't had so much of an experience within management, so it was a little bit, we didn't really know what to expect. It wasn't like an established name at that time.
What was the difference between him and Steve Cotterill, personally and also playing wise?
Yeah, I think I mean, Cotterill is an emotional manager, so you do want to play for him because of he wants to be there and bleed with you and be in the trenches with you, and you give it your all for him, and he feels that pain. But obviously, when you're a bit that emotional, it can be a bit up and down as well. We've taken it for personally falling out with players, and it can be a bit chaotic. Whereas Appleton came in and was just, this is the situation. This is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to do this. He brought us together. He spoke to the experienced ones as in, listen, could be us. We're going to have to bring some young lads in. We're going to lose some. And wasn't panicked. He was calm, and I liked him. I took to him, and I just thought, yeah, I think he'll do all right. And he wasn't then going to go, we're going to struggle now, we're going to play this way. He allowed us to keep the shackles off and still play with it in an attacking way.
I've always felt that if we kept the players that we lost in January, we probably would have stayed up. I don't know if you would feel the same.
100% I do. Yeah, I just feel we just lost too many because we had some characters as well, and some big, strong characters. I just feel when it got tough, you've got experienced players, good characters as well, who can, who can get you out of them situations. And I honestly agree. I think we would have been all right if we had just maybe kept another 2, possibly 3 of those that we did end up losing. I think we might have been okay. Obviously, the points deduction came anyway, and we would have stayed up without that. But yeah, I just think we lost too many, and it had an effect morale-wise, as in, is this going to be such a tall order for us now, as well as losing the quality and the characters of them players.
Well, when that point deduction came in, what was sort of, is it one of those things where you think, well, what else can go wrong for us this season? Like, what we got to do to get ourselves out of it? I know you guys didn't down tools or anything like that, but is it like sort of really down on the morale when that sort of came in?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember, when did that come in? Do you know when that we actually got given the 10 points?
Well, they're like February time.
Was it?
I'm sure. I'll do some fact checking, but I'm sure.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly when it was, but yeah, it was a huge blow because obviously you're talking 4 wins in a team that we're already starting to lose players, and we know it's going to be a struggle for us. So it was a blow. We did initially, again, it felt like we come together as in, okay, everything's going against us. Let's stick together. It felt like we had a good changing room up until the end when there was probably too many changes, but it felt like it was still a bit, come on then, let's just dig in, let's do this. Because if we do get out of this and the club survives and we stay up, it's going to be a huge achievement. And it felt, I don't remember feeling that we believed that it wasn't going to be possible.
Yeah, it was. It just had it confirmed. It was February that points deduction happened. So that was actually after the January transfer window closed.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit before the January transfer window, you had before we move on to, what everyone's definitely going to want to listen about a bit later on, a certain goal.
It's Barnsley goal. Is that what you mean?
Barnsley goal, yeah.
That's aside from the other goal, that's a better goal for me personally, as in technically. Like when I see that, I'm like, wow. Even I'm surprised I pulled that one off. But obviously, the other goal is going to always take precedent. But yeah, that was one of my favourite career goals. Other than that,
that's nice to know. Just around about December time, I believe it was your first taste of the South Coast derby. I don't know how many derbies you played in before at Plymouth or anywhere else. What do you remember? Like what the build up to it, sort of the feel of it on the day, because it is intense. I'm not just saying that as a Pompey fan. It is it's definitely up there as the fiercest rivalries there is.
Yeah. No, obviously for me being an outsider coming in, I can vouch for that for sure. I played in the Ipswich Norwich ones, which were decent, really good, competitive. There's derbies. There's obviously a dislike in there, but I don't feel it was the same level of hatred that I could feel in this one. I mean, the games before it didn't seem as important. Once that one was closing in, it was all about that. And maybe I probably underestimated at first just how big that derby was, knowing it was a big game. But like I say, it felt like it started to build up weeks before, and people were talking about it being mentioned. And it just felt such like you can't lose this game, no matter what fans speaking to you in the streets or before or after games. And so it was it was definitely had a feel of of a proper hatred, a bit naughty derby, and we got the feel of that. And I definitely realised then that wow, this is I've not been in a derby like this one before.
So when you as players, when you gauge that, did you feel like the intensity step up in training in the week up and like in the build up before to think you've got to go up another gear to really get yourselves up for it?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously on the training ground, it's not too bad. That you try and keep it as normal as possible. As it gets closer towards that, I think the intensity goes up, the concentration goes up. That level of a little bit of nervousness and pressure comes with it, because at the time as well, on paper, let's have it, Southampton were the better team on paper, should have been, and you just don't want to lose that game. So there was definitely a change in the feel around the place in that week up to it, coming in the couple of days before it was, this is serious.
Did you see a change in obviously the likes of Joel Ward and Big Kev, the kit man, Barry Harrison? Was it, obviously he's not just the fans you see on the street, in the change in the training pitch and that sort of stuff, the training ground, did they sort of change leading up to the game?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think obviously they were that there was a definite reminder, especially from Big Kev, that don't F this up. This is too big. This is too important. He knew what it was and tried to, I think, get that across to us, especially because some players don't know it, and especially foreign players or players who haven't got an affiliation with the club. Even so, they're played in derbies, but you always know you don't want to lose a derby game, but then you do get a different type of derby game. Like I say, this was definitely different to the Ipswich Norwich one that I played in, and you just knew it was so important because of how they felt about each other, and you could definitely feel that, like I say, weeks before.
If I remember rightly, did something happen with Liam Lawrence? Happened the night or 2 nights before with the Southampton?
Oh, yeah. There was rumours, weren't there, that he'd, stupidly, if he had, gone out in Southampton.
Yeah.
on a Thursday, and I think he'd got in a bit of a scuffle or some trouble. I'm not actually sure what happened with that, as in the repercussions of it. When you just said it then, though, it's bringing something back that I think he would been out, but stupidly on that of all weeks, the week that there's going to be a derby, and had got into even maybe like a minor scuffle or something kicked off anyway. I don't remember what happened as a consequence of it, unless it was just a telling off. But yeah, I think that there is something to that. That is what happened.
Yeah, I think that happened. Like, there's a lad, Southampton, I know. I think he was in his little like nightclub. I think it was called the Russ at the time. And I actually remember now. That's actually like tweaked the memory, and yeah, it was quite funny.
And so, to what exactly happened? Do you remember?
Well, all I heard was that just sort of, I think someone said something to him, and he, like, because I'm guessing Liam Lawrence, when you look at him and hear stories about him, he wasn't someone to hold back.
Yeah, he's feisty.
And yeah, I think because like for years there's been loads of Pompey players that have been going. Like, I remember Matty Taylor and Quasi used to go out in Southampton and stuff like that. Right. So it's not like you did get Pompey players down there. But yeah, I heard that. Someone said something to him, and then he didn't hold back and letting him know.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, he'd do that in the changing room with people he's supposed to have liked. So yeah, I can imagine him not taking anything on a night out anyway.
That first South Coast derby, the home leg, kind of as such. What was it like? Like, when did you see, like, when obviously Joel Ward scored the goal for us? But being a Pompey boy, what was he like in the change room, kind of afterwards? After that, was he like just kind of buzzing around buzzing like a bee or something? Yeah,
just buzzing. Like, it's a bit fairy tale stuff, really, isn't it? I mean, it's he might not have realised just if we realised just how important that was to him, but you could obviously see it on him in a derby like that from a local lad. That's like the only thing different is if it had been a winner, but otherwise it was perfect for him to be the one that got the goal against them at Pompey as well. So yeah, he was buzzing. He was absolutely buzzing, and you know, we knew that you could see how much it meant to him.
Before we go on to the next round of the local derby, I can remember once the points deductions happened, we played Ipswich at home a Tuesday night, and I remember saying myself for about 30 minutes to an hour after the game, constantly singing, you know, "We'll Never Die." What's your sort of memories of that? Because at that point, that was when it looked like, you know, this club could die come the summer or beyond. You know, the fans just, as they always do, came together, and you know, and was that, you know, did that help you guys at all? Knowing, you know, because some club fans might just turn away. You've seen that with like Blackpool in the past when they had ownership problems. They just didn't turn up.
Yeah, no, I've never known anything like the Pompey fans for reaction in adversity. You do it whenever we go behind. The fans just start singing. So I was at the game at Preston last weekend.
We were going to bring that up.
Yeah, I was with Clan Pompey. So the boys from Scotland down invited me down. So I met up with them, did a little talk with them, and then went to the game. But I remembered as soon as like Preston scored, all the Pompey fans just start singing. And I just remembered it from my time there, thinking, what's happening here? Like, we've gone behind, and just getting straight back behind you. And the fans made that, for as tough as that season was, and as tough as it felt, and all the stuff that went wrong, it never felt that bad for me. It never felt like this is awful, this is a horrific season. I've no real negative thoughts, because it just felt like everyone come together. The fans were really good. That last game of the season, when you come out and you're embarrassed, you've been relegated, and you've got to do your lap of honour and thank the fans, and they were unbelievable. And you know, it sticks in the memory of that, and you just think, what a set of fans. And like I say, I was only there a year, but I feel like I do have an affiliation. I know that goal helped, but aside from that, with everything that went on, I feel like I would still have a nice affiliation with the club. And yeah, the fans made that part of that season, because it just felt like, as tough as it was, everyone came together. The players that were there wanted to do it for the fans backed us, and it just had a really tough season, a good feel about it.
that carries on even now, to be honest, as you well have saw at Preston, there's 3,600 Pompey fans going away all the way that way, especially as we've only won 2 games away all season.
Yeah.
So to I suppose to sit in that, and as you said, going that 1 goal down, it hasn't changed, and I don't think it ever will. That's what we are. That's how we do it.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you know what? It was an eye-opener because I've never actually been in the away end. I've been down to other teams' games, but I've always been either as part of the club, so I've sat at the side and not been in with like the hardcore or an away set of fans. And, just being in and around that, it makes me, in a way, kind of wish I did a little bit more when I was playing, just knowing what them fans had been through to get to some of the games. And, you come over, you fan come, and I did. We did know the distances covered, but probably we should have acknowledged it or respected it a little bit more. Just what some of them fans do to get to games. And I was speaking to a couple of the guys up there from Scotland, and they're going to travel down to the Millwall game, and they're working it out. They're going to fly down, stay there, stay over, and train back up. And I'm like, sometimes as players, you just don't realise just the levels and extent that the fans go to. But yeah, like I say, it's one of the things that sticks out for me is just the level of support, even through the tough times, was incredible.
Well, it was that season, obviously, when we played Forest away. I think it was that second last game of the season. It was the last away game of the season, anyway. And I remember, obviously, I think we were down by then, and and the atmosphere was still pretty good. I remember because I think Forest beat us, was it like 2-0?
2-0, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and when they scored their second and they had their goal music going, I can remember the whole away end just started dancing along to it. But the point I was going to make is that I think I'm pretty sure the majority of Pompey fans, especially the travelling ones, knew how much you and the rest of the players cared, and that's why I think you guys got that reception where it wasn't like booing you off and stuff like that. And I think one of the main things was when I can't remember who put the big bed sheet up with the writing on it, but I think that when the players did that, I think it showed that you guys did care. And I think and that's the thing with Pompey fans, as long as we see effort and we see that no one's just chucking it in, we'll get behind you no matter what. And we knew it wasn't the players' fault, wasn't the manager's fault. It was obviously how the club was run at that time, which put us in that position.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. Yeah, I think that's what. Well, to be honest, I've done my whole career is if you no matter how sometimes if it's not going well or you're not playing well, if the fans see you giving it everything, they'll forgive you for so much. And that was definitely the case. It felt like I say, it never felt as bad as it was, and it definitely felt like we had a togetherness between us, because obviously everything that was going on at the club, the staff were being laid off and we were down to the bare bones, and that was tough seeing that happen. And then we got the fans, obviously don't know if their club's going to survive, so everyone just felt like they really came together, and it's a real shame that we ended up going down because of it. It would have been an incredible feeling to have been able to get past that, but in general it was a nice thing to be a part of because of the adversity.
Well, I think the fans always would have had the love for like yourselves, even without the goal and that day, because people like Greg Halford still fondly remembered, Jason Pearce, Joel Ward.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? These are players that we could see. I think it was the only one was as we discussed earlier was Ben Haim. But you said he backed it on the pitch. That's fair enough from your
But I get it from a fan's point of view from him, because of he's not caring about the club.
Yeah.
He's thinking about himself in that situation, so you can see why he would have brought that stick on himself, to be fair. But the rest, were
because was Carnu still around at that point?
He was still around during that season. I'm not sure if he was there to the end.
What's he like? He seems an interesting character.
How old is he is the main question.
Yeah. To be honest, even though I was there and he was there at the start of the season, I didn't really see too much of him. He didn't train that often. He still obviously had some incredible ball skills and touches when he needed to. And you could see in his prime, he must have been like a hell of a player. But yeah, he was he was older than even the oldest guess at his age. It seemed like, and so yeah, he was. The first question always was, "Geez, how old is he now?" But I didn't. He kept himself to himself. Seemed a nice enough guy. Had some unbelievable skill in training still, and the odd appearance here and there. But yeah, I think we didn't really see too much of him, to be honest. But he seemed a nice enough guy.
Because some of the stories I've heard is where he's like, if he's had a training session or a game, that he's wheeled around in a wheelchair afterwards because he can't walk. Is that what he was? Is that, I don't know if you remember much of that, but is that what he was like after training?
Yeah, he did. Well, like I say, when he did train, he didn't train that much, but yeah, he wasn't moving freely anyway. It looked hard work. It looked like he could have done with some assistance, and it was taking his toll on him. So yeah, he was definitely starting to struggle.
Who was like your mates at the club at the time? Is there anyone like you still got in contact that were around at the time, or?
Yeah, so I was really close with Luke Varney.
Oh, he was a character, wasn't he?
Yeah. So
I've heard some stories about him.
Yeah, so I got on really well with him. We came at the same time and we just sort of clicked, and obviously we went to Leeds together as well. So I'm still in touch with him, still speak to him. I roomed with him, which was fun when I'm obviously.
Did he play any pranks on you?
No, not on me. He was just a nightmare. He
didn't sleep
he's
well,
hyperactive.
Is that right?
You are?
He didn't sleep very well, I've heard.
No.
He used to get up and stuff in the night.
Yeah, just popping around in and out of everyone's rooms, up and down the corridor, causing carnage. I've said before about the one where, you know, when you're in the hotel, the peephole, you can unscrew it from the outside. So you can go up to them doors when they've got the little peepholes, you can unscrew them. So he used to unscrew them, knock on the door. As the lads were coming, they're obviously going to see who's knocking on the door, and he's got a bottle of Lucozade, just squirts it straight from the hole into their eyes, and then just runs off. But all he did was bring heat on my room then, because then now people are going to come for us, and I just want to chill and sit and watch a movie or something, and he's causing me carnage. So yeah, it was a handful. It was a nightmare, but I got on really well with him. Joel Ward, Piercy, I got on well with Liam Lawrence when he was there. I still like the odd message to Piercy. Wardy's obviously gone on and done really well, which is good to see. But yeah, like I say, overall we did have it was a pretty good changing room.
So should we start talking about that goal and that day and everything about it? Because I think it's up there. Anyone who unfortunately wasn't there, I managed to somehow watch it on a dodgy stream before certain Fire Sticks were around. I found it on my laptop. And it's a bit of a crazy game overall. Anyway, you had the situation with Rocha kicking the ball at the Scum fans and slapping Lallana in the face and getting away with it. You had the Chris Maguire's mad goal, insane goal, which, you know, I feel your goal completely. It's almost like everyone forgets his goal.
Yeah, and it's an unreal strike. Unbelievable strike.
There's another thing for me, which you're talking about Luke Varney, is his tackle on Morgan Schneiderlin.
Yeah.
And you can see, I mean, I was at the game, so like I was behind it, so you don't see it. But when you see the replays, you see his anger in his face.
Yeah,
and I love it.
It's not. Yeah, it's a red card, isn't it? It's a red card. He got away with one. But you know what? We were fired up.
Yeah,
I think.
Go on, mate. I was just going to say, did he say anything about that tackle after the game or during the game?
No, I don't think even he realised just how bad it was until he's seen it back, and then seen like how angry he's gone into it and how bad the tackle was. I don't think he realised just what it looked like. But obviously we spoke about it after. It was like, geez, that was naughty. That, but we were fired up.
If you're going to play for them dirty scummers, then you fully deserve to be smashed like that.
He brought it on himself,
We realistically could have had 2 red cards that day, really, because I know when you watch it, that's a simple slap, but you can't do that. I mean,
That's what I was just going to ask you about, David. Was when you watched him twat that ball into the stand. Obviously, he still claims that it was a complete accident. And then you kind of watch him slap Lallana. Are you thinking, what on earth are you doing? Is it like a real head in hands moment?
Yeah, because you're just thinking he's going to go here. So the referee's going to see something or something's happening and he's going to go. And then we're in real trouble because it was hard enough as it was. So again, it looked like, I mean, when you look back on it, it's funny. Behave, Ricardo. There's not a chance that that was an accident or you were trying to do this. He knows what he was doing both times. So, but it was funny to look back on, especially the little slap he gives him. But again, I think he was just fired up. I think we were all really fired up because I felt like we would I think we'd got tanked the game before. Was that the Burnley? I think it might have been the Burnley game before it. We were a bit low, and like going into Southampton, who were flying. They've got top players. We're at their ground. They look like they're going up. We're going to go down. And so it was a bit of the feeling in the week was just almost damage limitation. If I was totally honest, that was in my head. That please just don't let it be heavy if it's going to be a defeat. I wasn't confident about getting any sort of result. And then we got there, and I've said before about Michael Appleton playing a video on the way in. We were getting abused. Their fans throwing stuff at the coach. Loads of fans giving us abuse. So that sort of lifts you a little bit. Anyway, he played a motivational video. Everyone's good bits through the season. Keeper making good saves. Lads making challenges. Us scoring. Us celebrating together. And it was a masterstroke really, because of it definitely changed us going from maybe on the way how we were going to when we got off that coach. Everyone felt like, come on, then let's just have a right good go and just see what happens here. And it gave us a bit of confidence to, we could. And we started the game well. I think I remember travelling with the ball and getting pulled back and fouled early on. And I remember seeing my face after that, sprinting over to the referee to say book him. But I was fired up. And then I seen like Varney, Ricardo, everyone else was, we were up for it. And it was just then, what could we do during the game? And like I say, Thingy's goal was unbelievable strike, gets us back into it, and then the rest of the game, we hung on a few times. I think Ashdown was brilliant that day.
Yeah.
Made some great saves. Yeah. And
Ashdown always, I don't know how As and does feel. It seems to be a player that fans never seem to talk about, but he was a really good goalkeeper.
I think that's right. I was going to say at the beginning he was kind of deputising to Jamo, wasn't he, at the beginning? So he kind of had him to follow on from having such a great keeper. And even now, we've only until probably Nico Schmid have we had an actual keeper that we're all like raving about. We've had so many keepers over the years that have let us down, but he's definitely been an underrated player.
Yeah, massively. I do think it's forgotten about, and he was incredible that day.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think maybe because of his character, he's very quiet. Doesn't say much, keeps himself to himself at the time. Wasn't really too much of a big personality. Wouldn't say too much. Just got on with his job and did it well. So maybe that's just why he probably just gets unnoticed. But then that game, yeah, he was on fire. He kept us in it 2, 3, 4 times with some really good cracking saves.
And then they make it 2-1. And I've watched it so many times. I'm still convinced he was definitely offside.
Yeah. Honestly, I wanted to cry. It was the worst feeling because of we would have done enough. It would have been a draw, would have been a great result for us under the circumstances of everything. They'd never beaten us. We knew what it meant to the fans. I think was it something like 7 years previous they hadn't lost. So we wanted to keep that going in difficult times. And when that went in, we were sprinting to the linesman trying to get something to go our way.
He did flag offside, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But then I think they were saying it came off. Did it come off Varney or someone?
Yeah, I think that's what they said. Yeah,
I think that's what they were saying. And so I remember just going to the referee and saying, "Listen, you better have this right. When we look back at this, if this is going to be the end, then you have to be 100% right, because it'll be a disgrace if you haven't." And like trying to do something, but yeah, it was a huge blow because it was so late in the game. It was devastating.
Well, yourself, I remember Halford. I remember Varney all screaming at the ref.
Yeah,
it was
just to try. You could see it. Well, you guys were putting your hat like from the. Obviously, I said I was there, so when the flag went up, we all celebrated.
Yeah,
we had no idea what was going on, and but when I've seen the replays and from the highlights, you can see when the referee's running back. I think, as you said, I think Greg Halford, a couple others, I was trying to grab the ref, and as soon as he runs away, their hands on their head.
Yeah,
horrible.
Yeah, it was devastating. It was because you think it's too late. You think we've done so well, we've held our own. Like it would have felt like a win anyway, even at 1-1, because of like I say, the circumstances and being at their place. And it was a huge blow. And you just thought they better have this right, because if they are wrong and he's offside, and we've told him he's offside, it's going to be even worse, or feel even worse.
Didn't need to worry though, did we?
Yeah, that was one of them. I remember saying, "Please let me be the hero." To be honest, I was saying this at 1-1 because I was, even when I was running around the pitch, and I was thinking, "Imagine if you score now! Imagine if I score now and win this game 2-1, and I've scored." So I was thinking something dropped, something just happened. But at that time, with 3 minutes left, you are thinking that's it, it's done. So yeah, I wasn't too hopeful, and then watching it back, obviously the build up to it, we end up going back again, and then we launch it up towards the box, and fair play.
So when it was falling, did you think, yeah, I've got this, or was it just hitting home?
Not a chance. No, as that's coming down, you'll see in the slow-mo, I actually look away, which I'm surprised I could do that and look back at the ball and connect with it.
That is mental, by the way, for the way the ball came down. You looked at the goal and then you put your eyes back on it, because obviously we see it in slow-mo because of that angle, but then how quick it must have been is unbelievable.
Yeah, it must just be like reactive, because you know what? I looked because all I wanted to do was help it back into the box and try and cause some chaos. But because a Kits had jumped in the challenge, there was no one now really for me to. I'd hooked it back; it had gone straight through to the keeper. And the way it was spinning, honestly, it's a 999 times out of 1,000. It's going into the crowd, over the stadium. It's so hard to hit, and I just thought, "F it, just do it." And you know what? I didn't fully lace it. I've not gone to smash the lever off it. I've just got a good enough connection that using the spin with the ball, and as soon as I connected and it left my foot, I thought, this has got a chance.
Well, I'm going to be honest, because when as I said, I was at the back of the stand, and when that ball popped up, in my head I was like, please don't hit it, please don't hit it, because it happens at the end of games where like players are just desperate to do it, they'll just hit anything. And I was when I saw
that's what I was going to bring up. I was going to say that's quite brave of you to do it, because you would have been laughed at by the Scum fans.
Yeah,
probably annoyed the Pompey fans.
Yeah,
Maybe we wouldn't all love you as much as we do now.
Yeah, it was just one of them effort moments where I've just thought, I've looked, and that's made my decision. There's nothing else I can do. If I bring it down, what am I going to do? So just hit it and hope. And luckily, Varney's hairline helped me, because if he had a few more hairs, he might have tried to claim it. But luckily, it's just skin, like it's just gone just over his head. And like I say, if you see it, I'm already running.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that connection, and I think that's got every chance. And then as soon as it did, wow, what a feeling. Like nothing I've ever experienced in football. Nothing.
So is that like your highlight of your career?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I've said it many a time, that individual split-second feeling of that, because I've scored some good goals before, I've scored some important goals before, and I've been buzzing and going crazy, and sometimes I've just been celebrated as normal. This one, I was just gone. My head was gone. I was running and I was swearing and repeatedly swearing as I was running, just going F, 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 F. And I thought and as I was running towards the crowd, and I just see the line of all their stewards, obviously, because it's right at the end of the game. And I just thought, I'm just going straight through here. And I just launched over through them into the crowd. And it was an incredible feeling. And even when I watch the goal back now, like as much as I love to watch the goal and I don't mind watching it back, it's the fans. I love the videos. The fans, watching them just going absolutely nuts and thinking, "Wow, that's what I did." That's the nicest feeling for me. Just seeing what it meant to them. And then the other video. There's a few other video angles of it. There's one from a fan, and then there's a few from their fans, which I enjoy as well.
Oh, because they're loud at that point as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and it just goes
silent.
And then you just hear all the Pompey fans going crazy.
The thing is, though,
honestly,
I have no idea why. Like, if I was at Pompey Saints and Saints scored last minute equaliser, and I had a video on my phone, that'd be getting deleted straight away.
Straight away.
It would not be going on social media. A shout out.
No,
you wouldn't be uploading that on YouTube, would you?
No,
That's bizarre.
I guess that sums up their fans, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Yeah, so you're right. You'd have just deleted it, but yeah, as a moment in football, it was incredible for me. Yeah.
Well, did any of the lads on the bench say anything about what the sort of stick they were getting? Because when you see the equaliser, you see like all the backroom staff jumping up, like running at the sort of Saints fans, giving them abuse and things like that. Did they? They must have got shed loads sat there.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. That's why they celebrated so much like they did. They said they were getting abused all game, just getting abused. Obviously, we had a couple of young lads on the bench as well. Everyone getting abused. The staff, the young lads. Every time something happened, every time they moved, every time someone stood up, they were getting abused. So they said, yeah, they got the physios, they got proper abuse. So they seem to enjoy that moment just as much, probably just off the back of all the abuse they were getting. It gave them a chance to give a little back.
Just trying to think, was Jed Wallace on the bench that day?
No. Like Adam Webster and people like that. On there, I think.
Yeah,
he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
and I think we had like a third choice keeper on there. I can't remember what his name was, but he's in a tracksuit. You see him running back up the line. He's like buzzing.
You even see like the likes of Guy Whittingham and that going mad, which is just lovely to watch. I mean, the whole thing is just joyous.
Yeah. It was incredible, mate. Yeah, I can't. And just the effect that it's had, obviously. Since.
Well, you have a day, mate. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. Well, I wake up, don't I? Once a year, my phone's just got like 1,000 notifications. I'm like, what the hell's happened?
Even Google AI knows what day it is.
7th of April.
No way.
You know, you're talking.
You Google it, and it says when is David Norris Day, and Google AI knows when it is.
That's brilliant.
My son wasn't even born. He was born a year later, and he still loves watching that goal. And when I told him I was talking to you tonight, he was like, "Oh my god!" Like,
really?
And
Dad was like that in the group chat earlier, to be honest.
You know what I mean? Like that's the effect. You know, my son loves that goal and he's even alive.
I was about to say, Russ, you sure it wasn't 9 months later?
No, definitely a year and a few months. So, but you're right. You were saying earlier about you just lost to Burnley 5-1. If anyone out there has it, because you scored in that game, it's the only goal you scored I don't have footage of, and it kills me.
Yeah,
I've got all your goals by that goal.
Have you? Yeah, I've it was just I think it was just a tap in. It was whipped across the box and I tapped it in, but I was raging with myself because I didn't really celebrate it. It was a muted celebration because the goal they had scored before was my fault, because they used to do that corner where they'd run everyone into the box and they'd pull it right out to Trippier.
Yeah,
and because he could spank it from distance, he would do that, and we knew about it. And they said, so my job was to encourage it, but give myself enough room to read it and take it before it, or get close enough so he can't shoot. But I left too big a gap. And so as it's gone and we know it's coming and I've left it short and he does it and they score. And I was like, Jesus, that's my fault. Like, that was the one thing that we were told was going to happen. It was my job to stop it. I knew it was coming and still got it wrong. So I scored in that game, but it was a muted celebration because I was still fuming with myself. But yeah, then we ended up getting tanked anyway. And
you know what? You're talking Kieran Trippier, Danny Ings, Charlie Austin, if I remember rightly. You know, they all went on to have big careers. And then so after the Scum game was Millwall at home, and it felt like, right, if we can get a win here, staying up could be a real possibility. And then I just had a look and we lost. I remember losing 1-0, but I didn't realise the goal scorer that day was Harry.
Yeah.
You know what? We needed that game to be the weekend after.
Yeah,
and just so much into it.
Yeah, it felt like that. It just felt like really we should have been buzzing. We got that. That should have lifted us, give us confidence. But it felt like we were sapped. It felt like it was such a flat game and a dead game. And you're thinking, why? Like we should be flying with confidence now after what's just happened. But it's like it just sapped the life out of us. And I think if that game was a week later, I think we'd have just recovered, reset, used that confidence from the Southampton game. And I don't think we would have lost at home to Millwall at that time. I just feel like it was such a flat game and we just looked like we were sapped of energy.
So do you think that was something that could have happened to going now? You know, we just beat Leeds.
Yeah.
The players were outstanding, 9 out of 10. Played Plymouth Wednesday night. And then it was like a bit like what you said, zapped of energy. Do you think that's could have been a similar thing?
Yeah. I think I've said it at the time. I think I was saying that exactly what it must have been like. Sometimes when you go do it, give it your all, there seems to be nothing you can do about it in a way, unless you really freshen up the team. But then you go on to the next game, and if it's a midweeker, it just seems to have a massive effect where it just like you just can't. You expect you to be buzzing off it, but yeah, like you say, what a result it was against Leeds. But then to go and lose, against at that time struggling Argyle you wouldn't have expected that. So yeah, I think so. It just felt I was shocked because of obviously I just thought we'd all be buzzing. And it just felt like we were so flat, and so it was so disappointing because of, like you say, I think we could have got some confidence off the back of that to stay up.
Yeah, because then it was like it felt like the inevitable was happening, but then you guys all suddenly just didn't stop losing for a couple of games. You then had that mental 4-3 game against Doncaster.
Yeah, that was a good game.
I think was it Kitson handballed the ball into the Maradona did it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, did we not? I think we won. We beat Doncaster. Did we not? Did we win again?
Yeah, then he beat Crystal Palace.
Yes. So the derby was a blow. I don't know. I'm sure we could still stay up going into that. Could we still stay up going into that? Or
we had to have won, and Derby was the one that sent us down that day. And
right.
I can remember Varney scored, and it went 1-1, and then I think straight after they got they scored straight after or close to it or something like that.
Yeah.
But and then that was it. And then obviously we spoke about the Forest game.
The Forest, yeah.
So and then obviously it came. You must have known after Forest that was it. You were going to have to move on.
Not straight away, no, because obviously having seen what had happened at the end of the game with the fans, I was probably maybe naively, but a little bit of, you know what, I want to stay. I'm going to stay, bring this club back up, because I was probably in that emotional feeling with it all and everything that had happened, and how good the fans were, made me want to stay. And I was like, I want to stay. I want to bring this club back. So not necessarily, if there was a way I could have stayed, I would have. It was then, within a few weeks after that we realised, listen, you're all going to have to go. And then it was a matter of negotiations of how much are you willing to write off to before you agree something. So I think there was still 5 or 6 of us, and I think, to be honest, I remember the fans getting a little bit agitated, thinking that we were not going to go, but we all were. It was just part of the process.
Yeah.
I think we all understood what was going, but it was just part of the process. Like for me personally, it was my best contract for the longest time almost. So I had to write it all off and just get a portion back of what I'd earned that season. So it was a tough one. And then also obviously knowing that I couldn't stay and that was it, and I was going to have to go. So yeah, not straight away though. I honestly did want to stay and thought there might be a chance I could. And like I said, I think I was caught up in the emotion of it all. And that was what I was thinking. And then within a few weeks, we realised, yeah, listen, guys, you're all going to have to go, otherwise this club's going under.
To say if someone came in to buy, or the trust took over a year earlier and said to you, here's a contract, or we want to keep you, you would have happily stayed.
Yeah, 100%. I was really settled there. I was really settled in the area. Loved it down there. Was very settled and happy. And like I say, I'd felt happy on the pitch within the fans and everything else. So yeah, like I said, my first thought, even after that last game, was I'm going to stay. I want to bring it back up. But obviously, I think it was the emotion as well as the naivety of, listen, this club can't allow you to stay. It is literally going to fold.
Yeah, and it was, as I said, things like that sticking fans who were around at the time and remember them hard times that we won't forget. And then obviously you got a big move to Leeds. How did that come about? So was that
Warnock?
Was it what I was trying to think? Who was?
Yeah, it was Warnock.
Was it Warnock? Yeah,
he tried to buy me a couple of times throughout when he was at Palace, and so he was always interested in and a fan of mine. And obviously, on paper as well, it looked like I'd had a good season in a difficult team. I think I got Players Player of the Year and top goal scorer. Yeah. So the only issue was I was 30 and I'd been offered a 3-year deal at Sheffield Wednesday, so I was quite comfortable, happy with that, and keen. And I just think with it being Leeds, with it being Warnock and his reputation for getting promoted, and the fact that a couple of the Pompey boys were going there as well, it just felt that was the place to go and that was the right move. So yeah, obviously I've took a decent wage drop, but I'm still going to a very good club and I'm still in the Championship. So I'm over. In the end, I'm happy with it. But yeah, that's how it came about because of Warnock.
So you played under a couple of interesting managers in your time. I don't know if you quickly talk about a certain one, Roy Keane.
Yeah.
Is what we see on the telly, that sort of intensity when he talks about, I'd love to have smashed him just to make myself feel better. Is that the sort of manager he was as well? Is that how he is?
Exactly how he is. Yeah.
Love it.
Exactly how he is. Yeah, he can't hide it. He was I've said before, like I got on as well with him as anyone probably could because he made me captain and he seemed to be okay with me overall. We had one fallout, but other than that, he was good. But wow, he was just he couldn't. He was so intense. He hated seeing us have fun. Like I've said before. But when you have the circle before training, you put two in the middle. They got to get the ball. You keep the ball off him, and you make them, and everyone starts jumping around cheering and. You could just see he's looking at us thinking, he's raging that we're having a good time.
But he doesn't like smiling, does he?
Yeah. I mean, he's mellowed a lot now. If you see him on that podcast, he does. But he definitely wasn't like that at the time. And it was like, how are you all so crap? Like, I don't understand. It was like he couldn't get his head round us that we weren't him or the players he's used to playing with. And it frustrated him. So he lost it. We did all right. We started off all right. And then slowly he lost the change room with either players who were too scared to play for him or didn't want to play for him because he was ruthless when he hammered players. It would get personal. It would be anything to get at them. So yeah, it was intense, but overall to me it was actually all right. He was good to me.
Do you think that's a similar problem to the likes of Steven Gerrard and Wayne Rooney more so probably have had as well? The fact that because they were world-class players and they were the top dogs, they then get into places like, no offence, Argyle, and they're nowhere near the standard that they were. So do you think it's a similar story with them?
It could be, yeah, possibly, because of, as you go, obviously with the players that they're dealing with are in them leagues and teams for a reason. And so, yeah, they're the elite. They're used to being the top end and possibly that. I mean, it doesn't mean because you're a good player, you're always going to be a good manager. There's a lot more to it, especially when it comes to man management and stuff, which obviously Keane sometimes struggled with. So it could be, there's definitely part of that in there. Things that they think should be easy enough to do that players can't do. But yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of that in there, but there's also, like I say, man management and being a good manager and coach anyway. Like I say, just being a good player doesn't necessarily give you that right.
What was Sam Allardyce like? Because obviously, was it a Boston you were at before you got signed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't believe that club's around anymore, Boston, or I might be wrong.
Yeah. No, still going strong.
Yeah, good.
Been in like the National League or National League?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think they might just be, I want to say Rochdale.
Yeah.
Or someone like that yesterday or something like that. They've had a good win anyway. I've seen it come up. But yeah, so I was non-league.
That's a jump. Hell of a jump. Were they in the Premier League at the time?
No, Championship. So they got promoted that first season I was there. So and it's the luck that you need. So I was doing well at Boston. I was scoring goals. I was raw, like 18-year-old. So I went to Bolton, did a trial, had a reserve game against a strong Leeds reserve team. And I played really well. And Big Sam was there and he said, listen, if he plays like that again next week on Monday, we'll sign him. And it would have been hard for me to reproduce what I'd done because it was just one of them games. And Hibbs and Alex McLeish came in and just said, listen, we'll take him now. And then forced Sam to take me. And that's sometimes a bit of luck that you need, that someone just to give you that chance, which is obviously very difficult sometimes. And that got me in. And then it was a good place to be because I'm raw and from non-league, don't know how to be a professional. And with Sam and the way he was with all his staff and the way he was approaching the game, that was a brilliant, perfect for me and a real eye-opener. But straight away then I know what it is to be a professional. I never played. They got to the Premier League that first season, full season I was there. But as an education, it was brilliant and set me up probably going forward for the rest of my career. And the fact that my fitness and the amount of games I played every year was a big part of my whole career. And it probably started from there with Sam and all his sports science and the way it started off from there.
Did you train with JJ Okocha?
Yeah.
Was he as good as he appeared to be?
Incredible.
He was one of my favourite players to watch as a kid.
Yeah. He did mad things. He could do mad things with a football. It was incredible. Yeah. So it was one you just don't go near him because he's going to embarrass you. So just keep out his way, keep away from him. He's going to do something that's going to make you look silly. So yeah, incredible player, incredible. But for me, it was just a buzz because obviously I've come from non-league, and then all of a sudden I'm training with like Joke AF, JJ Okocha. Like I'm just loving it. It's perfect for me. Even if I'm not playing in the first team or near it at the time, I'm loving just being able to train and watch these guys. So yeah, JJ Okocha was there, and yeah, what a player he was.
That's fantastic. Yeah, like, really good career, really, overall, I would say.
Yeah, I can't complain. Like I say, I don't think I was technically the gifted or the best, but I was always a grafter. And for me to get nearly 500 league games, most of them in the Championship, played under different managers. Obviously, if I look back now, as much as some of the other things haven't gone great for me away from football, when I look back at my career, like I can't complain. It's been a great ride for me, and I've had some great times and great memories. So yeah, I can't complain, mate.
What was it like at Salford City with obviously the class of '92, all that sort of stuff behind the scenes, and how was like? Because was Jono and that Bernard there when you were there? What are they like behind the scenes? Because they seem like interesting there.
So I've said it before, but it was. So I've gone there. I'd finished the season before at Blackpool, and I'd played a decent 36 games. So I'm thinking, well, I'm probably going to have to drop. Even if I have to drop down, I could still play in League Two. Even though I'm 35, 36, I've played a lot of games. But I had a plantar fasciitis, and I couldn't shake it off, and it went on for months and months. And so I had a gym, just a small functional gym up here, and semi-pro teams used to come in and do team sessions, and I'd take them, and they came in. And he just said, listen, if you get fit and fancy a few games, just give us a shout. So I was like, fine. So towards the end of the season, I started to feel a bit better. So I went down training with him. He said, do you want to stay on to the end of the season? I think there was only maybe 6-8 weeks left. So I was like, yeah, go on then, fine. But I'm thinking this will be a nice little phase out from the professional game in a way, in that the class of 92, they do things proper here, and, it's going to be a good setup and everything like that. But it was still very, very non-league raw. Yeah. So I've turned up like the first game, and all the lads are just at the services. They're in Greg's. They're grabbing crisps and pop and everything. And I'm like I'm getting a porridge and a black coffee, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then after the game, loads of ale on the coach. I had to get they call it Edward cider hands. They take the big bottle of cider to my hand as an initiation. Yeah. So I had to do that. So I'm like, wow, this isn't what I thought it was going to be with the people that are in charge of it. But it was almost like, it was great. I loved it. It was a proper great atmosphere, great spirit that the two managers had brought up within the team. And so I kind of did love it. It took me back a little bit to previous the non-league, and I really did enjoy it. But yeah, it wasn't quite what I was expecting at that time with the people in the background.
Can you give us, just before we move on, we're going to talk briefly how you think Pompey getting on so far. Can you give us just one funny or an inside story on Roy Keane? Sorry, I'm obsessed with the man.
Yeah. I mean, well, I've got a few stories. I mean, most of them are the same ones I might have said before. There was one where I was out with family having some food, and I seen him coming. So I'm with parents, partners' parents, kids. So there's a big group of us, and I seen him. When you come and look at the menu in the window, and I'm thinking, please don't come in here. Just because on a bad day, I know he can be rude as hell. Like, he'd walk down the corridor at the training ground past players and just totally blank them. And I thought he might embarrass me if he just comes in and ignores me. So I'm thinking, don't come in. Anyway, he comes in and he's walking past, and I'm thinking, trying to catch eyes, and he does. And fair enough, he comes over, says hello to everyone. So I'm like, brilliant, that's great. Like, he's not embarrassed me. It's been fine. And then obviously we wrap it up quick. We've had all our thing. You get the bill, ask for the bill, yeah, bring it over, and they just say, "Oh, your bill's been taken care of by the gentleman over in the corner there," and he just paid for everyone's food and drink. And I'm just like, that's not the man I would have expected based on what I've seen him being like. And I just thought, wow, what a nice touch.
Well, I suppose looking after his captain, I suppose, or
but we didn't expect it. I mean, he was good to me when I got injured. He said, "Listen, don't worry, we'll get you the best help. Get yourself away on holiday now. Just take the time. Don't worry about it." And then the odd time I fell out with him when I answered him back once, and he dropped me. Don't ever answer me back again. That was one. And then we had the pre-season trip where he hammered us all because of none of us got in any trouble on the night out. None of us were late for the coach. So we were all sat on the coach, and he's like, "Look at you. No wonder we're struggling. It might have been in season." He said, "You're all here, goody two shoes, sat on the coach, ready to go. No one's got any character. No one's got any
really?
no one's late.
That's insane.
No one's got in any trouble. There's nothing about any of you." Like, and then one of the lads was late, and I thought, wow, he's had a right touch after what he's just said there. So Lee Martin he's come on the coach, and I'm thinking the gaffer's going to go, "Well, here he is. This is what I'm talking about." He walks on the coach, he turns straight round to him and he goes, "And who the do you think you are? We'll all just wait for you all day, will we? While you turn up late." And everyone's thinking, "Oh my God." So no matter what we would have done here, we were getting it no matter what.
He just wanted to kick ass.
Be on the, yeah, so you couldn't win with him. And then Martin ended up getting hammered and fined 2 weeks' wages for being late. The same thing he was just hammering us all for not being.
Well, he just wanted to have a go at someone, didn't he?
Well, speaking of pre-season, wasn't the one with Pompey a bit of more of a boozy one than a proper workout one? If I heard that right.
Yeah, to be fair, we worked hard. We ran hard and worked hard and got fit, but it was a bit of it was a big changing room for me because if I'd come from the safety and not smaller, reputation-wise, small, like a lesser players in Argyle than when I come into the Pompey changing room and you had like Hayden Mullins, Liam Lawrence, Kitson, players who'd been there and done it, Hariderson. So there's some big characters in there. And our first away trip, we go to like the airport and it was, we all sat around just getting some food and then one of the lads just shouts up, "Yeah, can I get like 15 pints?" And I was laughing, just thinking it's just banter. And no one else is laughing, and everyone's straight faced and like, yeah. Oh, but make mine a thingy, make mine a. And I'm like, whoa, what's happening here? And we must have had 5-6 pints before we've even gone. And we're going away to pre-season to be ran. And then when we was out, the lads was sneaking out and on it and just dealing with it in training the next day. And then we had a big night out at the end of it and all day. So it was a great trip. We worked hard, we got ran hard, but it was a boozy. It felt like a bit of a stag at times, yeah.
Brilliant. But we had some characters though, didn't we? Was Hariderson around at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was a nutter, wasn't he? So.
Yeah, he was the main man. He was organising everything. So yeah, he was making sure he organised the night out, the day out, made sure. I think it even got on the local radio. Get yourselves down to this beach because the Portsmouth FC guys from England are there having a good time. Come and join them. So it was crazy.
Wow, brilliant.
Yeah.
Just wanted to touch on how you think Pompey's getting on at the moment. Obviously, you saw him play Saturday, as you mentioned earlier. Wasn't a good result or a good game. But, I don't know how much you've seen of Pompey this season, how you think the season's going, especially after the start we had. I'd like to see your perspective of it from more of an outside point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too much live. I've obviously seen a couple of the games that are on TV, and I've been to that one the other day. I mean, I thought they started fine. I thought it was a good point, obviously a great point away against Leeds, and obviously I know it started with a few draws, and then there was a few losses, and I think it was always going to be difficult coming up into a new league, giving a majority of the same team a chance. But I like the manager. I always said I think like he is going to be a very good manager, but he's still going to be learning almost as he goes as well, and so. I thought it was a struggle, and I thought it would be, and I didn't want it to be as tight as it looked like it was going to be. And then they picked up the 3 wins. There was 3 quick wins. Was it like Cardiff and Oxford, and there was another one as well in there. And I thought, right, perfect. Yeah, that's got them safe. And then You go into Luton, should have been another one. But now, after the other day, it's too tight, and it's an uncomfortable gap where you just think it should be all right, but another loss and a couple other wins below us, and it's a panic. It starts to panic stations where we should have been home and dry. I thought Preston were poor. I actually felt sorry. I felt Pompey did deserve something out of the game. And when they got to 1-1, I thought you can't blow it after that. You've just got to see it out. So it was a massive, massive blow, that result. But I thought Preston were poor on there for the taking. So I feel like his points dropped. Argyle at home, points dropped. Leeds brilliant, but then Luton before it. So it should be all right. It should be done and dusted. The pressure should be off. But for me, it's an uncomfortable gap that I'd like just to get it done as soon as possible. And there's some tricky, tough games coming up. Coventry are flying, Blackburn are decent. So you don't want to be going into the last few needing something. So I'm hoping that it is going to be done and dusted, a few games before the end. What are you guys? How's the feeling like down there and with you? What you thinking? Obviously, you'll have seen.
Well, I'm panicking now.
Yeah.
After Leeds,
we thought we
were all like, "That's it, it's done." And then we got to Plymouth, and obviously Derby had won the night before, so you think, well, we can get that gap back up to 10 points.
Yeah.
And then 2 games later, it's down to 4, and yet we are now looking over our shoulders.
Yes,
I think we will be okay. I do think we are staying up, but we haven't helped ourselves. But that's doing it in Pompey fashion.
Yeah,
to be honest,
what everyone was saying.
And it's one of those things where, obviously, as you said, we were 10 points clear against Leeds, and we're buzzing, and now we're 4 points. You sort of have to right now get your head of the mind frame that if someone had offered me, without any context to it, if we were 4 points clear of the drop at this point of the season, you would take it. And that's what I'm trying to get my head back around.
Positive spin on it,
Yeah. just clutches at straws.
Yeah.
I think what's good for us is there's so many teams involved. It's not like we're fourth bottom, 4 points, and there's no one to catch.
That's right.
You've got your Stokes below us, Hull are below us, Cardiff are below us. Then you've got the bottom 3. So it's, 1 or 2 wins, and then you're...
I was going to say, what do you think it's going to... How many points do you think? 5, 6?
I would say, I honestly think 2 wins is enough.
Yeah.
And I think, was there 8 games left?
I think so.
Yeah. I think so, yeah. I think,
I think it is, yeah.
It's vital. I think it's pretty vital we beat Blackburn, because if we don't, and then our away form's so bad, you can kind of... Millwall's not going to be easy, and Coventry, as you said, are flying.
Yeah.
So if we don't get at least 4 points from the next 3 when we play Derby, we could be in the relegation zone. So
that you've just made it feel a lot worse now, because that's worrying. Yeah.
No, exactly. Well, exactly. Derby are in a good spot as well. So if they keep their run going, by the time we play them, that could be a really big game.
Huge.
So, all right, Harry, that's enough. Let's stop that.
Let's go back to the. Would we have taken this at the start of the season? That was a bit.
No, I'm not saying we're going down. I think we will stay up, but I'm just saying it's.
No, you're right.
Those 2 results just make it a little bit more real, and maybe we were too comfortable as fans, thinking, "Oh, we've aced this."
Yeah, but, no, I think maybe within the changing room. I think when you beat Leeds, maybe it just relaxed a little bit going into that Plymouth game. Where
I did think we were a bit complacent.
Because they were there for obviously Argyle has been struggling, and at home you think they're the ones you just have to win, get it done, be professional, and you can almost start to relax then a little bit more. But now it is like you say, that Millwall Coventry away are going to be really difficult, so Blackburn becomes even more important.
So you came to the Preston game. Any thoughts of coming back to Fratton Park?
Yeah, I always like to get down for at least one a season. I'm potentially coming down for the. There's a charity game on Bank Holiday. That might be coming. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe possibly down for that. As for league games, I think there's after Blackburn. I think there's only another 3, isn't there? So there's a possibility, because I've said to my boys I'd take them to one of my old teams every season. And so I haven't done Pompey yet. So yeah, there is still a chance I will get down, but I'll give you a shout if I do.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. But if you're there for the charity match, then definitely try.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to. Yeah.
Yeah, let us know if you're definitely in.
I will.
That would be one I said I'd probably bring my boy to as well. So
yeah, it should be good. That.
Yeah.
Right,
boys. Unless there's anything else you want to ask, David, I'm pretty sure we can end it there. Or if David wants to ask us anything.
Yeah, no, that's been good. I've enjoyed it.
Good. I really appreciate you coming on, David. And
no problem, mate.
Appreciate every time someone listens to us on Spotify or Apple, you introduce us every single week. So that's
brilliant.
We really appreciate you helping us with that as well.
Yeah, no worries.
I never thought I'd have an ex-Pompey legend saying my name, so I'm happy.
And is that weird?
No, honestly, anytime.
To be there, it's very rare you have a player at a club for a year and we would consider you a legend.
Yeah.
So for me, that is strong. But I did say at this, Clan Pompey, I went up and on the mic and just did a brief couple of questions. And I just said that for me to have the rapport after only 1 year, you'd normally feel like I'd been at a club for 5 years to feel like you do about the place. From me personally, let alone how good the fans have been to me. For 1 year, it is a bit crazy. It was a crazy year, but yeah, for just 1 year, you wouldn't believe that. For like I say, how I feel about the place and how the place seems to feel about me. So it's really, really nice for me.
Short but sweet.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. Again, thank you, David.
Nice one.
Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
I'll speak to you soon. Cheers,
David. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, lads. Happy with how that went, I was assuming.
How good was that? That was lovely.
That was brilliant, wasn't it? It was, what a guy. We're not just saying but you could just tell how much he loves. He even said us, looking behind us. He didn't say behind, you or Pompey. He said, now you're starting to look behind us. And
he's just one of those that just got it, didn't he? You get these players that come along not very often, and they just get it, and they almost become an unadopted blue.
Yeah, and that's
and he's one of them.
Yeah, and I think he talks about us. I think in the same light as he talks about Plymouth, and he was at Plymouth for a lot longer than he was with us. So it's brilliant. Now that's best episode so far, 100%.
Yeah,
you love that.
And we'll try and get some more ex-players on. We have got some players in mind. Just trying to see if they can get on with us. Obviously, we can't say who because it's not fair. But we also get other guests on, like Andrew Moon. We were in talks with a couple other people. So, keep an eye out, people, for future bonus episodes. I'm kind of glad that this is much better than talking about the Preston game.
Yeah,
that's next week.
Yeah, but I would have calmed down by then because I'm still fuming. So,
I was quite calm about the whole situation until David started saying about, and then I started worrying again. Then Harry dropped in. I was like, oh my god.
yeah. David didn't put it in like your boys will be fine, which is good because you don't want someone to just sugarcoat it.
No, and exactly, it was the kind of reflection on like sort of how he was when he was at Pompey. It's no point in like sugarcoating and saying it was all like sunshine and rainbow stuff like that, because it's not. It just has to sort of get down and knuckle down and keep going. But as I said, if you'd have offered us this at the start of the season right now without any context, you'd take it. It's just because we were 10 points clear. I mean, even if we were like 6 or 7 points clear and then we went to 4, that's understandable. But that extra 3 is a bit of a killer, and I think it's more frustrating. It was against teams that we should have been picking up points from, especially at Plymouth at home. And if we'd have even drawn at Plymouth at home and then lost at Preston, it just takes a little bit of the edge off, doesn't it? But here we are.
But it was interesting when you spoke about that Millwall game after Southampton that they just felt zapped. Yeah. And it just makes me wonder, is that what's happened to us? Is this international break actually come at a good time?
I think so. I think it's probably intensified as well because it was a 3-game week as well. Especially this season, we've struggled with a 3-game week. So maybe even if we had a week's break and it wasn't until the Saturday and we didn't have Plymouth as a midweek, maybe even that would be okay because we've had more time to settle down and like, sorry, the training ground would have been buzzing for a week and we can go again. But it was so like you finish that, you've had a day of recovery, you're into kind of pre-build up and then you're straight in. You haven't had a time to kind of let it sink in.
Yeah, and that's it's momentum. And we were saying, weren't we, about it's similar but not the same because it's kind of the other way around where like sort of Omani in that Plymouth game, the header he had, like if we were saying, weren't we, if that was just after the Oxford game, he scores that.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing because we're talking about time and stuff like that, but it's just the other way around. The fact that like if the Plymouth game was a bit. Like, even say the Plymouth game was on a Friday night or something like that. Do you mean? Because then you get the, like, not that the crowd was flat against Plymouth, but it wasn't the same, was it, as as Sunday against Leeds? It wasn't the same, and I just think it dropped off quite quickly when because of the way Plymouth set up and stuff like that. I think people got a bit bored. I think.
But listening to David just goes to show we don't get football. Like, we might understand, obviously, the rules, how to kick a ball, blah, 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 blah. But what goes on in training and behind the scene, we have no idea. It's easy for us to go, well, they're professional footballers. Of course they should be able to play 3 games a week, blah, 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 blah. But listening to David, when they've put so much in a big game the weekend before, and he said we should be, why aren't we? Why aren't we buzzing? Yeah. Why aren't we up for it? Why,
Because it's not just even physical; it's mental fatigue as well.
Yeah.
And it's having that elation of, especially in David's case, scoring that winner against Scum as that draw to give that whole end of Pompey fans away from home, giving them that celebration in a pretty bad season. To have to compose yourself and be mentally ready, and your brain's going to be fried. So it's just is what it is, isn't it? It's part of football, and Pompey just do a Pompey, really.
And that's it's one of these things as well where you can't recreate all that sort of that atmosphere and how people feel and stuff like that, because we could say we play on a Sunday morning. And we do the same thing. We score a last-minute equaliser. Everyone goes mental. But it's not the same as scoring a last-minute equaliser in a stadium full of, 30,000 people and all that stuff that comes with it. And then to then go do it again in a couple of days' time and stuff like that. It's one of those things where you can only really judge it if you've been there and done it. And I mean, I forgot what I was going to say to him. He's lived pretty much every Pompey fan's dream, because apart from scoring at Fratton Park or scoring a goal to win you the FA Cup for Pompey, scoring away at that Scum is probably up there, your third most things you'd want to do as a Pompey fan.
Yeah, well, that might be even your number one, because trophies are rare, but scoring a goal against your rival is probably the most likely of the 3.
Yeah, I think what you could do is score at the Fratton end against Scum to win us a league. Everything, and then do an Adebayor run down the
win the FA Cup or something. I mean,
I was gonna ask you boys, Barnsley, Conor Shaughnessy's goal against Barnsley or David Norris's against Scum?
Well, that's probably a better question for Daz, because he was there for both. Obviously, Shaughnessy's goal, there's more to it than just the occasion, because it was the first time I got to experience a big day with my son. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but also
I got to watch it through his eyes.
It's winning silverware or winning or that goal against them dirty bastards down the road, isn't it?
That's the thing. I think for me, because obviously with Shaughnessy's goal, we were still technically going to go up anyway, even if he hadn't scored that. Do you mean? Because that just won us the league, and we were going to win it anyway at some point, even though I went mental. I think I went more crazy at the Scum game in the crowd, because they scored in the last couple of minutes of normal time, and we thought that was it. And as David said, we had done so much, we deserved the draw out of it. And they were probably the better side, with possession and stuff like that. But the way we defended and the way Ashdown played in goal, he deserved a draw himself. you go from buzzing because you're drawing, then to suddenly losing, and you think we don't deserve this, and you can see the Scum fans just over the way, and you just think, I'm just going to get so much stick now from like everyone, like all these things are going through your mind. You don't, because it's you support Pompey, you don't think it's going to happen. You think that's it. This doesn't happen to us. We don't score last minute goals, last minute equalisers, when obviously we have in the past. But at that time, you don't think about it. So when that ball went in, I think it was the relief. Like I've never, like obviously I haven't been to as many away games as a lot of Pompey fans, but I've been to a fair few, and there was bodies everywhere. Literally everyone was. I must have hugged and kissed about 20 blokes in the space of like a minute. Everyone went mental, and I literally just had to sit down in my seat as soon as the final whistle went, because it was just an outpouring of relief. But yeah, they're two different things. Like if I had to pick one, as in like how I felt and how I celebrated, it probably would have been David Norris's goal. Yeah. But that's because of how it happened and all these other things. But I mean, I still went mental for the Shocknessie one. And I've always said I would rather Pompey be successful. Like, if I don't care how Scum get on, if we're doing well, I couldn't care less. It's when we're not doing very well, I want them to suffer.
Except from when you don't want them to win anything, though.
No, exactly. Thing is, if us staying up this season meant Saints stayed up in the Premier League, I'd take that all day long.
Oh God, yeah.
It doesn't bother me. Like, do you mean like it's only if we're struggling or stuff like that, I want them to struggle as well. But I just want us to be in the same league next season, even if it's for one season. After all the things that's happened since the last time we played in the league against each other, where we were nearly out of business, went down to League Two. They obviously went up to the Premier League, and the amount of stick I've had since those seasons, just to be back in the same season, in the same league as them, to be like up yours, like we're back on level terms at least for a season now.
I still think if we played them tomorrow, I think we'd win
at home. Yeah,
anywhere.
No, yeah, I think away from home it'd be a different story, innit?
They are absolutely dog shit. They really are.
They are really bad. They are. I'm desperate for them to get the worst points because they actually deserve it.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's the thing. Like, this is what's annoyed me about being 10 points clear to now being 4. That I could then start to be like, right, now I can just concentrate on them not getting Derby's record, like of them getting Derby's record. And then we're down to 4 points. Oh, now I can't say anything anymore because obviously being at Winchester, I've got my dad's not really hard and Saints fan anyway, but he'll tell me they're just as crap as well. I say they're crap. So, but yeah, so I just need us to get a little bit of a gap, get safe as soon as possible, because then I can start enjoying their decline.
Right, enough about them. Shall we move on to something Russ loves every single week?
Certainly did.
Oh, lovely. Didn't realise we were doing it.
Here we go. There we go. Right.
Right, as I carry on from last week, the Hail Marys, Robbie Pethick. Just imagine that was Robbie.
That's a name I completely forgot. That was the ultimate Hail Mary, wasn't it?
It was.
So Daz is out. Right. Clue number 1. I made over 500 career appearances, scoring 60 goals.
It's another midfielder, isn't it? It's got to be, surely. If that's a striker, you're shit.
Sounds like Robbie Pethick.
We've had quite a lot of shit strikers.
True, that is true. But that is woeful. If you're a striker and you manage to play 500 times and only score 60 goals, who was signing you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably us when we needed 95 players in one season.
Is that a clue? Or a really good goal scoring defender?
He takes penalties.
I'm going to go for Kit Simons again. Fuck it, because I know he scored a few. Yeah. It'll be him one day.
Yeah.
He's going to run out of players soon enough.
Was that was that first one your Hail Mary? Was that your guess?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, all right. Clue number 2. I have played with Clark Robertson, Christian Burgess, and David Connolly, but not at Pompey.
It's quite a recent player then, isn't it?
Christian Burgess could have been at Peterborough.
Yep, that's a good shout.
Or Hartlepool.
Yeah, he was at Hartlepool, wasn't he?
Because I think he was at uni up there, wasn't he? And then he started playing for
Not sure, but I know, he was definitely at Hartlepool, and he was obviously at Peterborough, because that's where is that where we got him from?
Yeah, Peterborough, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Who was the other 2 players? I forgot now. Too busy thinking of the Jesus.
Clark Robertson and David Connolly.
Well, David Connolly, like, that doesn't narrow it down. He's played for God knows how many teams. Clark Robertson.
He was at Scotland for a while, wasn't he?
Got Rotherham.
Rotherham, yeah. So what's no link there really, is there, with Burgess? Was it Blackpool he played for as well? And I'm sure he played for some Scottish teams, and currently at Dundee, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think he is, because he was out in Israel, wasn't he?
Oh, was he? I didn't know. Oh, yes.
He signed out in Israel after us, and then very quickly came home.
Yeah, because he was out there when. Anyway, move on.
Yeah, you don't want
and I've still forgotten. Oh, David Connolly. God, Jesus Christ, where did we even get him from? Obviously, he was at Scum.
He'd been at West Ham.
Actually, I think did we get him from Scum? But
nah.
I think we did. I'm sure we did. Obviously, he left and he was on a free, but I mean, his previous club was Scum.
Because he came. Did he come to us in the first League 2 season?
He came to us at the end of the league, that League 1 where we had 1 million players.
Yeah. Just trying to think, because I remember him play alongside Ajiman.
I used to like them 2 up front, but only really lasted a few games because then Connolly fell out with the manager at the time. Was it Whittingham? I'm sure it was. Then wasn't he at Wimbledon after us? I'm sure that's where he went. I can't remember, but none of these clubs are matching up together.
No, it's not helping.
I'm going to push you for an answer, boys.
Yeah, but say for a random one up there. So, one player played for any of those with Christian Burgess.
I think of a midfielder that possibly scored some goals.
What players have we got from Peterborough?
Can't think of any. I'm just trying to think of a name. Sorry, Harry. I can't.
Have we said any?
Completely blank. He would have scored. He's more of a striker.
Jeez, I've got a complete mental blank here. I'm trying to think. I can't even think of any players that have played for the team.
Liam Lawrence, fuck it. I know they were at Sunderland together with Connolly, so.
Oh, jeez. Lee Williamson.
Clue number 3. I played in the most northern county in England.
I played in the most northern county, did you say?
Yes, I played in the most northern county in England.
So that would have been for Hartlepool. If he's played with Christian Burgess, that would have been Hartlepool. Because Hartlepool was the highest, like the county. I don't know what the county is, but because I'm pretty sure that Hartlepool was the most furthest. You've got that and Carlisle, but the Carlisle are along a bit.
But didn't
where
Burgess start
Hartlepool's on the east.
Didn't Burgess start at Middlesbrough and then went to like Hartlepool and Peterborough?
I'm pretty sure he was at uni up north, and then that's how he then went from uni, went to Hartlepool. I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure he came.
Because I think that's how he got picked up but playing for the uni team, I think. And then went to Hartlepool. Who's played for Hartlepool that's played with Pompey?
The only one I can think of is when Cal Naismith went on loan, but he's played with Naismith, and so it can't be him.
Yeah. Who's played for Hartlepool? What's played for us? Because it must have been. We must have got him. No, we can't. I don't know. I've got like Jack Compton in my head.
Would he have played 500 games?
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know, but it says 500. Did it say 500 league appearances or just 500 appearances?
Depends if you listen to the clue or not.
He's such a giddy. But I don't think there's no way he was shit, Jack Compton. There's no way he scored 60 goals. No, Jack, if you're listening, I very much doubt it.
Sorry, Jack.
He's our number one listener. I don't know. Well, he did. I'm sure he was there. But would he have scored 60 goals?
I don't know. You never know. It could have been.
I suppose he could have gone non-league and scored loads of goals.
Yeah.
I suppose. If you want to go for him, go for him.
Yeah, I'll go for it. Like Jack Compton. That's fine.
It all comes down to you, Russ.
It must be a player that's played for Hartlepool because, as I said, like it's like Hartlepool and Carlisle, I think, are the like most northern teams, but Carlisle's more on the west coast, where Hartlepool's on the right, and I'm pretty sure on the east coast. I'm pretty sure Hartlepool will be the highest.
I'm sure he came through Middlesbrough, though. I've got Middlesbrough in my head at the moment. 60 goals. Just trying to think of midfielders that possibly we might have got from Middlesbrough at some point. Or a crap striker.
I'm not sure.
Crap strikers. What crap strikers have we had? I can think of one, but I have no idea how many goals he scored, and I'll be shocked at all this, but I can think of one just because of the Scotland link with Robertson, and I know he was at Middlesbrough, and I'm sure Burgess at Middlesbrough, so I'm going to say Curtis Main. I had.
Wow. I don't have a fourth clue. But you will literally just...
Okay, we've lost it, but can you give us the season he was at Pompey?
I'd rather just tell you the name, to be honest.
No, but that's boring.
Yeah, but I just want to hear you just cry. He was at Pompey.
That's not very nice, Harry.
Well, it is. 11-12.
Oh, God's sake. That ain't Mr. Norris, is it?
Fucking Jesus Christ.
Where did he play with Burgess?
Peterborough.
Oh, of course he went to Peterborough. That's where he's from, I think, isn't it, Norris? Or he's around that way.
Something like that. Yeah, he played with Burgess at Peterborough. I can't remember. I was just trying to search Robertson and Conley, but I can't now find it.
He's making it up. They've never played him before. Because of the Hail Marys last week, he wasn't happy. He's made.
I can't believe you didn't even think of Norris. I kept trying to think of players Norris would have played with. Doing.
I know. I couldn't believe I got you, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good shout, mate. To be fair, that's a good one.
When would he have played with Clark Robinson? Blackpool.
Blackpool.
Yeah. Forgot he went to Blackpool.
Yeah. Well done for getting. Well done for losing to the guy we literally were just speaking to 20 minutes ago.
You didn't expect it, to be fair.
And then Connolly would have been Leeds.
Do you know what would have been better if we'd have done this with David Norris still on?
Yeah.
And see if he would have got it.
Got himself?
Yeah. Or if he didn't get it.
And then we just said, how shit was Clark Robinson really?
Did he turn kickoffs round at your place as well?
It's a DM for Russ incoming.
Yep, certainly is.
Yeah.
Right, boys. Obviously, great episodes. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Week back to reality. We're going to talk about the Preston game, unfortunately. Possibly England, any other business, if we're angry or not. And then looking ahead to the Blackburn game. And hopefully we'll have a confident mind. We're going to have that positive Daz thinking.
None of that Mr. Negative stuff from you then.
Yeah, well, I tried the positive and we lost 2. Even after Plymouth, I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll be fine. Calm down. And then we still fucked. Anyway, that's for next week. I'm saying negative because it works, all right?
Me and Daz will toe the positive line then.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to be the bad guy. I'll take it. Right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. See you next week.